I meet a lot of parents who say that their children don't like this or they don't like that. And I honestly think it's because they give their children choices at the wrong times,
Mm.
or sometimes the wrong choices, because hungry people eat. And so here is the food. If you are hungry, you can eat it. If you're not hungry, you can eat it later.
Mm.
That's it. There won't be something else. There won't be something different. You won't get another choice. That's it. Um, so there's a little bit of democracy in that we ask the children what they would like to have, what they would like to eat, but also we discuss with them what is healthy and what is
Mhm.
practical. For example, if you give something with sugar to my children will say, no, thank you.
Mhm.
This is because my children understand that sugar is poison and that it is not good for their body and it is not good for their brain.
Mhm.
On an adult level, scientifically, sugar is more dangerous than cocaine. If you type into Google, sugar is as dangerous as cocaine, you will get um, search results and articles from university studies.
Mhm.
You have to be intelligent about your choice, because it's a similar question to what is better, Ford or Volvo, right? Every
Mhm.
car is different, so every cereal is different, and you have to look at what is the choice. Is it cereal cornflakes? Is it muesli? Is it something else? Um, uh, what kind of bread is it, right? Is it white bread? Is
Mhm.
it brown bread? Does it have additives? Does it have things added to it?
Mhm.
Do you know the source, where it comes from? What kind of cheese is it? Is it natural cheese, or is it, some chemically produced cheese? Do you know? And so we try to keep the breakfast something real, something live, something living, which would be some kind of fruit and yogurt. But they can also have cereals. But I personally have some issues with the cereals. I have issues or problems with the cereals.
Mhm.
For example,
Mhm.
a lot of muesli has a lot of sugar in it, so
Yes.
it has to be muesli with no extra sugar added to it. Um, and then a lot of fruit in the muesli has sugar added to it. And then a
Yes.
lot of what you think is fruit is not fruit.
Mhm.
Um, One of the famous brands of cornflakes in Britain is Kellogg's.
Mhm.
Kellogg's is a military company. KBR, Kellogg, Brown and Root, is one of the largest military organizations on the planet.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so Kellogg's as a company invests most of its money in military technology. This is quite easy to find out if you look at the history of the company. And so uh, I try to avoid cereals, for example, by this company because I know that they take people's money and they invest it in buying guns and tanks and other things that don't help anybody really.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of complex issues, but you know, if Kellogg's cornflakes is the best option, then take that. If you have no other choice, then take that, right? I mean, let's not be stupid about it, right? If it's the only option, take it. Um, There was a study by a forensic food laboratory in the United States of different breakfast cereals. And what they did was they examined under a microscope the cereals to find out exactly what was in them. And they examined cornflakes. And you know, a lot of cornflakes has extra vitamins and extra iron and everything added to
Mm-hmm.
it. And what they discovered was that there really was extra iron in the cornflakes, but the extra iron was small pieces of metal. Yeah, that was the iron, small pieces of metal in the breakfast cereals. So when it says extra iron for your children, it was actually pieces of iron, real pieces of metal iron that was in the breakfast cereal. And this is in a lot of cereals. Seriously.
Oh.
And they examined it under a microscope and they discovered this. Yeah, let me give you the study. Let me give you copy and paste the study right now. I think that's the same study where they took they started by taking a magnet to the breakfast cereal, and they
Mm-hmm.
discovered that the breakfast cereal stuck to the magnet because it had pieces of metal in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like this, the small pieces of when you have muesli, the small pieces of fruit that they say are
Mm-hmm.
fruit, it's very
Yes.
often not fruit. It's sugar with colors
Mm-hmm.
added to it, and so you think you're eating strawberries, but it's not strawberries. It's just something. It's just something artificial. So
Mm-hmm.
um, anyway, so the question about what is healthy for breakfast, I think natural yogurt with some fruit, and I think that is probably the best way to go. You could have toast with honey. The honey is on one side it's good because it's a natural product. On the other side, it has a lot of sugar in it, which can be negative for the body. So I think if you balance things up, I think if you maybe don't have exactly the same thing every day all the time, I think that's good. If you have fresh fruit, if you put a extra banana in your cornflakes or your cereal or something, that's always a good idea. Um, so I just think be careful. Like you can buy jam that is good and natural, and you can buy jam that is not jam, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a study of honey in supermarkets that said that 50% of the honey in supermarkets is not honey.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes,
actually
yes.
it's actually
Mm-hmm.
plastics. It's plastics. So uh, if you buy local honey made by a local producer, then you know what it is, and that's good. And if you buy something that from a local farm, something local grown, and in Slovakia you get a lot of local food, a lot of local
Mm-hmm.
produce, good
Yes.
markets. Um, um, so that's it's important to know where everything comes from. Um, there was a study that I read 2 years ago that 10% of all the food in Europe is not what it says it is. 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And this was by Interpol, the International Police Organization,
Mm-hmm.
who said that food crime is the biggest crime in Europe. Food crime. Well, yeah, 10% in the food. I think it's 50% in the alcohol. Like 50% of
Mm-hmm.
alcohol is not what it says it is. 50%. It's not what the label is on the bottle. And
Mm-hmm.
look, you know people in business. I know people in business. You hear stories of this truck going from this country to this country to change the labels on the bottles and
Yes, yes, yes.
meat products from one country going not legally into another country. My father worked in the food industry, and he says that when you have the stamp, it doesn't mean anything.
Yes, yes.
He said it can be whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be
Yes.
whatever. Are those tomatoes from Spain, or are they from Poland? Who knows?
Yes.
Oh yeah, man, there's crazy stuff. Like they put water into the chickens to make the chickens bigger.
Yes. Bigger.
That's crazy. I saw a video where they had it was in India. They had peas, and they were painting them green. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of there's a lot of potential problems.